Okay, for this round of games, I'm going to be covering all of the rhythm toys, all of the multiplayer games, all of the multiplayer rhythm toys, and a little extra options like the beat spell mode. Do keep in mind, I will not cover mini games that appear in other rhythm heavy games. That means I'm not covering Sick Beats, Rhythm Tweezers, the Cupid mini game from Fever, or Ninja Bodyguard, because those games appear in other rhythm heavy games that I covered already or I'm going to cover. So those are the ground rules. Got that? Alrighty then, let's get started. Alright, starting off with the first one, we have Pet and Parcel, and immediately this just goes into the impossible tier. I mean, we don't have ships that are this highly advanced to shoot energy beams and block laser beams by bouncing off of them, or that can go into space and casually travel between planets. Sorry y'all, we're not in the sci-fi utopia yet. This one's straight into impossible. Now, Tennis Quest is an interesting one because I do think all the actions that are taken in this are really easy, except for the fireball. Like, if you have to do the fireball, then it's instantly an impossible. In order to swing the racket hard enough to make the ball turn on fire, you'd have to move it at the speed of light, which nobody is capable of doing. Much less, I don't think people are capable of hitting the ball enough to actually do damage to enemies and stuff like that, as displayed in this minigame. So it just depends on if you count that as a criteria. If you have to hit the ball hard enough to set it on fire, it's impossible. But if it's just what's the normal tennis quest where you don't have to do that, then I would put it in easy actually, because it's just literally playing tennis, and all you have to do is coordinate with your friends to hit it to the time of the beat. Very easy to do. Not really easy though, because it still requires some skill. Volleyballish is also in the same category, where it's just playing volleyball. Again, I would say it's pretty hard or possible, because in order to jump that high and hit the ball as coordinated as they do in the game, it does take some professional skills, but not nearly as hard as like some of the other stuff. So I would say it's just hard because it requires professional athleticism, and assuming you don't have to do any of the crazy insane stuff they do in the minigame, then yeah, it's just a pretty hard minigame. Nothing too hard to ask of people. Wrestle Sprint. Now this one's another interesting one because depending on how you view it, it could be impossible or in hard. Probably extremely hard. Let me explain. So, bouncing on the balls is actually something you're capable of doing. If you got into any like bounce house or gymnastic place where they have these little yoga balls, you can totally bounce off of it like you see in the game. What you can't do is bounce meters into the sky as high as they do in this game, and also doing it with the hacky sack where their legs are tied in the second parts of this minigame would also add a layer of difficulty. So I would put this in extremely hard if you're not counting the super jump at the like later into the minigame. If you're counting that, then this is impossible. But just the bouncing and hacky sack, I would say is extremely hard. Cake Weight, probably one of the most hilarious games in Rhythm Heaven Group, and this one is extremely easy. No, really, all you're doing is waiting for a timer to reach 3. The hardest part is probably just counting, and then you have to quickly swipe your hand on the table. This is something people do in real life with these reaction-based games, so it's definitely feasible for a human to do. Very funny and very fun minigame. Memorizing. Literally just a game of Go Fish, except with rhythms. Now, if the cards have to have legs and tap to the rhythm, obviously impossible. If there are moles that grow out the table, obviously impossible. But assuming that it's just someone playing the beat under each card, really easy. Not even a challenge to play. In fact, it's easier than Cake Weight. But assuming they don't grow legs and fly away, then yeah, it's not impossible. On to the rhythm toys, and for the first one, we have Who's Got Rhythm? This little adorable bunny clapping game, and depict it in what the minigame shows. This is probably and really easy. Literally just watching rabbits clap, and then, or I guess if you count the rabbits actually clapping, then it's impossible. But if it's just like a group of people clapping, and you have to detect who's not clapping and who's on rhythm, very easy. Don't need to explain much there. Again, just a matter of perspective. For all the soundboards, this is going into probably easy. Not really easy because it is kind of hard to navigate these, but soundboards exist in real life. If you had to program it yourself, then probably in extremely hard. But if it's just given to you, I'm putting it in easy. Literally just a soundboard. Bouncy pufferfish. This is in impossible or impossible, if that makes sense. I'm putting it impossible because assuming it's just like bouncing a tennis ball up and down, that's easy for even me to do. Like, I could do that without much professional training. But if it requires the pufferfish to puff up and down, then obviously an impossible. But I don't know. Most of these are in it depends sort of ambiguity, so it's all up to you if you think it's possible or not. For swing, this is obviously going in very easy. Swing is something that kids do. Swinging fast enough to kick your shoe far is like one of the most classic playground activities. doing flips off of the swing is also something people do, so it's actually harder in real life. So the game actually doesn't depict it as hard as it could be in game. So yeah, swing is probably the easiest one. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's very, very easy to do this. Like, again, kids do this. Owls, I don't even know. I'm just gonna put it in impossible just because I don't think you can train owls to do this. And also, if a human were to do this, humans cannot stretch themselves as thin as the owls do in this mini game. So it would be impossible. If this was your lungs, maybe, but like, I don't know. This just seems like a stretch to me. For Knock Knock Quartet, if it's just like 8 people using a vibra slap to mimic this minigame, very easy, or probably easy just because it will require a little bit more coordination. But if you have to build a helmet that has this vibra slap on it, then I'll put it in hard. It definitely wouldn't be impossible, but it's an interesting minigame to speculate about. Now, minecart, oh boy. Not only is this impossible, but it also would be one of the most dangerous minigames in the entire game. Like, are you serious? You have to navigate a dangerous minecart like 10,000 meters above the air. No one is doing this without, like, pissing their pants. Especially over open ocean. Heck no, bro. This is scary. Not to mention, it's 4 people navigating in this hot tub, having to jump from track to track. This is one of the stupidest and definitely most impossible minigames to perform in real life. Building blocks. This one borders on impossible. I would say it's either impossible or at the like peak of extremely hard, because either way you look at it, this would be super difficult to do. If you're using real helicopters to drop bricks on a tower in a Jenga-like fashion, good luck with that. That would be extremely dangerous and hard to coordinate. If you're using like radio-controlled helicopters, this would also be extremely hard, though not nearly as dangerous. So I'm probably putting this in extremely hard because it would still be possible, it would be very difficult. Little Snack. Little Snack is just a tiny miniature version of Cake Weight. Also probably the funniest minigame in the entire series, just with how hilarious these sound effects are. Bam, 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 bam. And how sad the spider gets whenever he doesn't get caught. Like, look at him! Rock smashing, immediately in the impossible category. Doesn't matter how many people punch a rock, unless you have super strength, you're not breaking it open. Sorry. Rocket siblings, also another impossible one. Sorry, but I don't care how much fuel you have, you're not going to be able to throw a person and then boost off of that based on the timing that this minigame shows. It will be extremely hard to do, and if you have rockets, then the rockets would have to be in perfect trajectory in order to get the angles that this minigame shows. Definitely impossible. Cast quiz is probably in the really easy category. It's literally just like a quiz show, except you have to use a remote to control it. Like, do I need to explain more there? Extremely easy. Next up, we have the score attack games, and for the first one we have, it's Can You Clap It? Another really easy one. I mean, this one borderline needs no explanation. It's just a quiz show where you clap in timing with the guy on the screen. I think the original Tengoku one is actually harder than this one, hilariously enough. Did say sparring. This one would definitely be really hard to pull off because you need to time perfectly to the beat of the song, but with enough practice sessions, I don't think it would be too difficult, and it actually would look pretty sick, I'm not gonna lie. Skateboarding. I'm tempted to put this in the easy category, but seeing how he has to jump higher than this egg and then touch it to roll over it, that puts that straight into the hard difficulty. Not extremely hard because, like I said, professional skateboarders can do this no problem, but that one trick alone puts it in above possible in the easies. Firing Frenzy. If this is depicted as an arcade game you have to play, really easy. If you have to program the arcade game yourself, probably in hard just because you need to have the programming knowledge, but as depicted in the game, it's just an arcade game, which would be pretty easy for any middle-end game developer or programmer to accomplish. And for the last two in this short list, we have Beat Spell, which obviously goes into the impossible category because magic does not exist in this world, and doing the spells to the beat of the song would not only be extremely hard to do, but it also would be pretty impractical if you're fighting monsters of this size. So yeah, definitely impossible. And drum lessons is in extremely hard. So I know what you're thinking, it would probably be easy in real life, but no, I feel like even a professional drummer would struggle to pull this off. Not struggle, but they would have a hard time. Like, they would need to focus in order to pull this off. But it's definitely in the possible category for a professional. For an average person, I would say it's an extremely hard. So it all depends. Do you think it's a professional doing it, or do you think it's a regular Joe Smo doing it? All that determines where its placement is at. And yeah, that was every single extra game in Rhythm Heaven Groove. Tell me what your thoughts are on the placements here, as most of Rhythm Heaven Groove's content is simply fantastic. I can't believe how chock full of content this game is, much less for only a $40 price tag when most games go for $70 nowadays. Pretty insane. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next time when I go over Rhythm Heaven Tengoku.